Picture this. The journey ahead starts here together, and together we can build a brighter future. You are listening to Illuminating Hope, a podcast of Hope House. Welcome to an Illuminating Hope bonus episode, a podcast of Hope House. I'm your host, Tina Johnson, Community Partnership Manager, alongside my co-host, Mary Ann Matheny, CEO of Hope House. And today we want to introduce Katie Hendley from Sail Away Wine in North Kansas City. Katie Hendley fell in love with wine when she studied in Florence, Italy in 2001. She's been hooked ever since and decided to make it official in 2008 with a diploma from the International Sommelier Guild, and in 2014, a Level 2 certification from the Court of Master Sommeliers. Katie worked as a wine director sommelier in Seattle, Naples, Evergreen, Denver, and beautiful Lake Lotawana before moving to downtown KC in 2018. She likes long walks on the beach, eating delicious foods, and drinking wine, and talking about delicious foods and wine. She is currently the resident sommelier at Sail Away Wine and a server at Affäre Restaurant. Sail Away Wine is one of Hope House business partners, and we are honored to have our guest, Katie, on the podcast. Welcome, Katie.
Thanks for having me.
I read Sail Away Wine's philosophy is great wine leads to great fun and even better memories. How did Sail Away Wine start, and can you share a little bit about the history of being a wine connoisseur?
Absolutely. Those are two different stories, so I'll start with the first question. Sail Away was founded and opened in 2021 summer by a pair of world adventurers who like to go visit other places, ports of call, we call it in Sail Away, because they like to sail. And the idea is that wine has the capacity to take you on a journey, and you can go out and explore the world by just tasting the wines from those places and visit ports of call without having to leave our fabulous wine store, which is currently located in North Kansas City on Armour Road. Wine has a particular ability to transplant people by taste because wine is so very much a product of where it's from. You can get a chicken parmesan that's made in Italy or a chicken parmesan that's made in California, and it's not going to really transport you anywhere. It's just going to be delicious. But a wine that's from Italy is going to taste very different than a wine that's from California. And so that's kind of the fun thing that we can play with and close our eyes and imagine ourselves someplace different. That's the idea behind Sail Away. And I think North Kansas City in particular and Greater Kansas City have really embraced the concept. They really like the opportunity to come and just feel like they're on a trip, even if it's just a few hours out of a busy day. Something to break up normal day-to-day life. So that's what we're kind of offering, is a chance to come back to a slow food and being mindful of what it is that you're eating and drinking, and not just using that time for meals as a necessary interruption, but more an experience that you can share with friends and connect on a personal level. Pretty great. That's one of the reasons I got into wine, as a matter of fact. So I was studying abroad in Italy over 20 years ago now. Of course, being 22, I was very interested in drinking the wine, and they, of course, have wine on every table. When I came back home, I made a meal for my parents and celebrated kind of my return, and we were eating the meal, and it was delicious, but I thought something was missing, and I realized later that there was no wine on the table, and it was almost like the table was missing a salt shaker. The wine was such an important ingredient of the food, and we don't learn about wine that way over here. So it took an actual trip to a different place to see how the perspectives of other cultures can kind of influence the way that we eat and drink. And anybody who's interested in food probably has taken a similar turn as far as doing some research about the history of what we're eating and drinking and why it matches or doesn't match and why it's so important to the enjoyment of life. So at that point, I decided to look into it a little bit more. I also had a pretty good Italian accent, so I thought I was kind of hot stuff, and decided to go into learning about wine a little bit more in depth. I moved out to Seattle, where they offered some courses, because many of the accreditations for sommeliers involves a lot of self-study, and I wasn't really sure how to start. So moving out to Seattle, I was able to enroll in some courses. We did multiple tastings in the mornings and lots of book learning and reading of experts and how to talk about wine and how to pair wine with food and the history and culture of wine. And it just became so fascinating, and it's one of the things that you just can develop a lifelong love for. I think everybody has at least least at some point tried to dabble. It does seem like a pretty big and inclusive world, and it's just getting bigger and more different all the time. Things like climate change and eco-consciousness, conversations about organic and sustainability, and conversations about non-alcoholic options and trends and things like that are always changing. So it's a very dynamic field. So you could potentially just never learn it all. In fact, I don't think it's possible.
I have so many questions. I think first, could you just talk about the concept or how Sail Away Wine works? Because it's not something, prior to my first time coming, it was not something I'd ever been exposed to, but I think it's fascinating. I love what you guys do there.
So the concept is sort of a try before you buy. We have wine machines, and you may have seen some of these. They inhabit airport bars, hotel bars, especially major cities like Vegas and Miami. The concept was first happened upon by the owners in New Orleans, as a matter of fact. They were just kind of walking down the street, and there was a little wine bar off to the side, so they just kind of popped in there, and along the wall were wine machines, and you could try 100 different wines by the ounce and maybe get a little charcuterie board, and it wasn't really much more complicated than that, but it really offered a nice option for people who were out strolling on the sidewalk in New Orleans. That was kind of what we wanted to bring back home to Kansas City, and we opened with 72 spots for wines on the wine machines. So we always have 72 on tap at any one time from all over the world, and you can choose a pour size between a 1 ounce, which is just a taste really, a half glass, which is 3 ounces, or a full glass of wine, which is 5 ounces. And you can sit with your wine and chat about it, and there are some lovely little tasting notes that you can dwell on and see if you agree, and order some flatbreads or cheeses. We also have lunch and desserts and things like that, and start a conversation with the people that you're there with. Making wine more of an integral part of everyday life is the idea. You can also use the wine store as a store. So if you just want to stop in and grab a bottle to take home for dinner or for the weekend, you can try a couple different wines by the ounce before you decide ultimately on a bottle, and so you'll pay a retail price on that bottle. So it's pretty neat. You know, the idea is to give people tools to have their own wine journey so that there's not the intimidation of a pushy salesperson or a wine list that you have never seen any of these wines before and don't even know where to start. With this layout at Sail Away, you really get a chance to design your own journey.
I never thought of wine as a journey. I think that's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, it's great.
Does the wine taste the same out of the machines as it would if you just bought it in a bottle quart?
Yeah, so the wine tastes like you just opened it. As soon as the staff member opens it, they put it onto a machine, and the system replaces any air that's inside the bottle with argon gas. So basically the argon goes into the bottle and blankets the wine from getting exposure to oxygen. So it keeps it fresh for months, which is great. I usually don't have any wines that last for months.
Thank goodness, right?
Yeah, they usually go pretty quickly. Some of the more expensive ones, you know, we want to protect as long as we can. So that's another great point of these machines is you can open any bottle, really, even nice cult favorites and expensive bottles and things like that. You don't have to worry about it going bad. So it gives the opportunity for people to try something that is not available by the glass anywhere in the city.
So I like wine, love to sit and have a glass of wine, but I know nothing about it. I could choose the wine I'm going to drink by the label or by the name just because I have no idea. So how do you help? Because you're an expert, and I think the other thing is to clarify how you say sommelier.
That's beautiful.
All right.
Yeah, it's beautifully said. Sommelier.
We were practicing on the way
Yeah. That is one thing that I know people really struggle with. That's a really hard one to say. So we have clarity on how you say that. So you are an expert. You have more wine knowledge than, I mean, I've listened to you over the last 2.5 years, and I'm just amazed by what you're able to convey. So how do you help someone who's a novice who comes in and just doesn't even know where to start?
Well, I'm not physically in the store a lot, so I've written some tasting notes that accompany each wine, and the bottles are on display too, so you can still choose bottles by label, which a lot of people have found that to be very helpful. A lot of times on the back of the bottle, the winemaker will put tasting description on there, so you can pick it up, physically handle it, take a look and see what the winemaker says, and then you can read the note that I wrote. And my notes aren't always about what flavors are in the wine, because I think that that's largely subjective, but it's also about what does the wine make you feel like, or what kind of memories does it unlock? You know, smell memory is one of the strongest senses for humans. So if you grew up and your grandmother had a particular lavender soap in the bathroom, lavender might evoke in you a memory of your childhood or your grandmother or other things your grandmother did, like maybe she smoked a pipe, I don't know, or maybe she had a particular lotion that she used, or she was always baking something in the kitchen, and so that other smells are unlocked with that. And it's kind of like a flow chart connecting different things together and conveying a sense of emotion, feeling, and place. So that's what some of the notes are about too. And then some are just fun, or I think kind of quirky or particularly clever, depending on the mood I was in when I wrote them. So people can pick up the notes and take them back to the table and read them. And a lot of times people will pick wines for their friends based on the notes. Like, well, this one says it's like popcorn flavored jelly beans or something, so that reminds me of you. And so they'll pick up the note and they'll say, you have to try this wine. And it really becomes a fun, almost like a game for people, almost like a scavenger hunt. And it's all about just getting people engaged.
Going back to the wine journey, I was looking at sailaway.com on your website, and I saw you have passports. Now, how do the passports work? What are they as far as the journey? Talk about those a little bit.
So the wine passport is the card that gets assigned to you when you first come to the store. And that's the card you use to access the machines. Most of the machine systems that I've encountered in the rest of the U.S., you buy sort of a gift card, or in the case of like a hotel lobby, you would use your room key card to access the machines, and it would take off of the balance of the gift card or go onto your hotel tab. But we've modified it so that we can actually just start you a tab like you would at any other wine bar or restaurant. And the wine passport is very cute. It's bright yellow. Of course, it's the size of a credit card, so it fits perfectly in your wallet, and it says your name on it, so you know that everything's personalized, and every time you open your wallet, you see that happy yellow card that reminds you need to go taste some wines immediately. Every time you put it into the machine, it also says your name at the top of the machine, so it's truly a personalized adventure. If you lose your card, don't worry, we can make you a new one. The idea is to have it close at hand.
At all times.
Yeah.
At all times.
So let's talk about the event and how Hope House was introduced to Sail Away Wine and kind of what's coming up, because I think that's also a very fascinating story. You can be creative in how you do things to help other agencies or other charities. So
this is the third annual Somm Showdown. This is another way that we're hoping to get local people engaged in both tasting wine, coming down to the store, treating it as a local hangout where they can come anytime, and also spread some of the message of Hope House. And so that's why we've partnered with you guys for the past 3 years. We wanted, I think, to find a partner who was very ingrained in the community, and I just found out today you guys have been here over 40 years. That's amazing, and helped thousands and thousands of people. It's such a worthy cause. So while we're having fun drinking wine and thinking about all the places we can do, I think it's also important to connect what is important in our community, like when we are here, to be grounded, to be aware of all the different sorts of aspects of life. So I think that's been a great partnership for us. Third annual Somm Showdown. Unfortunately, registration is over for this year, so the whole month of January. And I think we may push it another week next year because a lot of people are doing dry January. Pushing an extra week may give some people an opportunity to come down and enter. So $15 is the entry fee, and Sail Away matches each entry fee, and that goes directly to Hope House. Then you get to try a super secret wine that I have chosen. It is on tap at the store, so you can come in anytime during the open enrollment and try the secret wine. You get 3 ounces of it and 3 minutes to answer some basic questions about its color, taste, smell, what you think it might be, what you think it kind of tastes like. Super easy. It's on a tablet, so take you just 3 minutes and that's all. And you're doing it for a good cause. And you're putting yourself into a contest that could potentially net you $1,000 if you win. After the entries are closed for the duration of the contest, we're going to start narrowing them down and putting everybody into a bracket, kind of like the basketball bracket. We'll start out with our 32 top entrants, and they'll come back to the store and taste another wine. So they'll get very personalized emails saying, hey, come on down because you are a finalist or semifinalist. After they come down, we'll narrow down to 16, narrow it down to 8 from there. And then finally on March 6th, we'll have the final 4 contestants in the store for a special in-person event where they will taste 2 wines for the semifinals, and then the 2 winners will go head-to-head for the top prize, which is $1,000 cash and the title of Kansas City's Sage of Wine for 2024. Second place winner will not leave empty-handed. They will get a check for $300 and a nice bottle of wine, and third place will also receive a Magnum bottle of wine, which has been donated by one of our sponsors. We've had some great MCs in the past. This year is looking to be pretty exciting too, so if you'd like to come down and support Hope House, we'll be open for donations as well, and Hope House will be there to talk a little bit about the mission and show some, I think, slides and things like that to help connect that part of the community too. So it's March 6th at 6 p.m. in North Kansas City at Sail Away Wine. So open to the public for everybody to come down, support their favorite contestants, support their favorite charity, and just have a good time and buy some wine and watch a contest. It's a lot of fun.
And are you the judge, or do you have other judges that help you? Or
yes, I have 2 other judges that help me, and they've been with me for the last third year now. They'll be in the store as well. Kevin from Cellarat is going to be joining us, and Kathy from Pinnacle, who's one of the distributors in Kansas City. They donate time, effort, and some other things too. So very, very nice to have them be sponsors as well.
From having been to the event, I think it's a lot of fun. To me, it's extremely fascinating that you can pick up this glass and be able to identify where it's from, what kind it is. And I think it's fascinating because I don't have that skill, but I just sit and drink and enjoy it. I'm looking forward to it. And I think just, again, to be able to talk about what a creative way to bring 2 people or 2 organizations together and really be able to highlight how you can help even when you're having fun. You can do something that is enjoyable, but at the same time, you're helping us to be able to provide the services that we do. So we're excited. I want to give another shout out to Sail Away Wine and the owners.
So Russ Johnson and Heather Brown. Hopefully I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but hopefully we'll have another branch in the pretty near future. And so ideally you can go sail away without having to leave your neighborhood.
Ooh, I'm excited.
That's the end goal.
That's right. That's right. Excited about that.
Yeah.
So
go to sailawaywine.com and see the link to the Showdown. So check out what our current wines on tap are, or you can just type right in Somm Showdown 2024 and it'll pop you right over to that link where people can explore what Hope House does, who's in the contest, what the rules are, and how they can enter next year. There's also a little bio on the judges. So Kathy Rowling, Kevin Hodges are in there too. So you can read about our fabulous judges.
And there's brackets in there, so you can keep track of who's progressing to the finals.
That's right. Round 2 bracket results are in. So if you see your name on there, you'll be getting a call back. So it's very exciting.
Okay, so Sail Away Wine is in North Kansas City on Armour Road, and then definitely keep the Showdown event in mind for March 6th at 6 p.m. And Katie, thank you so much for coming on. We love that you are one of our business partners. We love our business community, our Hope House community, and we just thank you for coming.
Absolutely, anytime.